Hey everybody, welcome back to Bearded Goblin Gaming. On today's episode, we're going to be working on some new pillars for my Frostgrave board. So, with it being Halloween, I went down to the dollar store and I was able to pick up a pack of 8 of these skulls. And, I mean, the detail's not great on them, but for what we're going to do, it's not too bad. So, all we're going to do is we're going to take 2 apiece for the pillars. We're going to go ahead and we're going to drill a hole in the top of one head and the bottom of the other. This one's already kind of got one in the chin, but we'll put it back here a little bit more. Just be careful with your blade. Doesn't have to be super big, just something. And then kind of decide where you want it to sit. Do you want it to be full on straight? Do you want a little, off to the side either way, tilted back? And kind of decide what height you're going for. Mine all stand about 3 inches for my other pillars, so I want to stay kind of close to that. So I'm just going to go right here behind this. And again, just be careful, you don't want to push super hard, otherwise you might slip. What we're going to do, just to help out the hot glue gun, and I got to get plugged in so it's nice and warm, is we're just going to go with some of these mini wood sticks, or whatever kind of stick you got laying around, even a piece of wire. Just so the glue isn't the only thing doing the job of holding them together. So from here, you can put them together and then you can kind of decide how you want them to sit on the table. But what I'm going to do is we're going to take and we're going to put them on a 2 inch by 2 inch square of the cheap foam core board from the dollar store too. Might as well make everything a little less expensive. I'm just going to stand that on there. Now what I'm thinking about doing is we'll go ahead and we'll cut out another one. I'm not worried about being super exact here, but I guess, the cutting board shows everything we need. So we're going to cut off this one. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and make them into an 8-sider instead of a 4-sider. Remember to have a nice sharp knife. This thing's getting a little dull. Give us a rough stop sign. You can see I had it pretty far out of whack there, so it's not going to be perfect. Sorry if you can hear the heater. It's a little cold in my basement. Now you can save these to do the build up underneath in the back, but I'm just going to use some of my pre-cut blue blocks that I already have. I'm going to leave the paper on the bottom one, on the one side for against the table, and I'll take it off both sides of the top. And then I'll decide how I want it to sit. Like I said, mine are about 3 inches, so if I put it on the table, 1, 2, 3, with that, we're about 3 1/4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lighter here. I'm just going to, if you got a heat gun, you can use that too, or a candle. Just going to heat up the top. Squish it flat. And that'll give us a nice place for that top one to rest. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to put one of these under there. Looks like it's a little thick. Go ahead and cut it in half. See how our glue gun's doing. Nice pile of glue. I usually don't worry about making a mess. I usually just make a mess all the time. think we'll have it kicked off to the side a little bit there. And the top. You can try and line it up so it's the same as the bottom. Looks a little goofy at the moment. I mean, just some skulls with some thin pieces stuck to them. I'm going to wait for that glue to cool off just a little bit. Shouldn't take too long down here. It is actually really cold in the basement. Then what we're going to do, you can buy these in a pack. They come with the cheap paint brushes, and they come with some of these little, clay spatulas. And take those and some of the spackling. This is the pink spackling. It goes on pink, and then once it dries, it turns white. This is getting a little old. It needs to be mixed up, but all we're going to do is just take a little bit of it. I'm just going to fill in some of these holes. We're just going to make it look like they're more carved out of the stone than anything, not just stacks of plastic. And try and leave those blocks showing a little bit, so just in case I need to do a little bit of work to them. Just fill in all the gaps and creases, and I mean, you can hide as much of the detail as you want or try to save it. I want them to look pretty rough, so I'm not really too worried about it. And yes, my masons went ahead and carved in mold lines. It's all part of the chaos. And, make a mess, turn your fingers pink. I mean, you can square it off pretty good. Another thing you could do is, like, if you wanted to cover this whole side, like, say in another piece of this foam board, and then break it, like you just smear this on there, and then put the broken pieces on so it looked like plaster panels, or, a facade, and it started to chip away over time. Trying to make it heavier on the bottom than on the top. I mean at the end, if we wanted to, we could always put a big wood screw in there and drill up through the bottom. Or, take your drill and drill that out. You can always fill it with a little bit of dirt or rock. Give it a little bit of weight, so you don't have to tip it over on the table all the time. You see there, the eyeball was filled in. I could have filled that in and just made it look like they were still in the process of working on it. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and continue with that until we're done. And we got one that I already started. I'll show you. This one's been sitting in front of the heater. See, it started to turn white, and this one's just kicked off to the other side. We'll just go ahead, and I've got enough to make 2 more of these, so we'll have a pack of 4, or 4 pillars, and I think I'll do them all standing. I'm not going to break them in half or anything like that. We'll do them all complete, and we'll go from there, and we'll come back when we're ready to paint. And all we're going to do when we're done, or when we're ready, is we'll just take our Mod Podge and black paint and prime them all, and once I have that done, we'll come back and I'll show you what colors I'm going to paint them in. Okay, so we got the Mod Podge on there and it's dried up. A few little spots. So we're going to go over the colors. I'm going to go with, it's kind of a shadow gray. I made it myself for my Death Watch guys, for the base colors for their black. It's one of my favorite colors. We're going to use that for the base. And we'll do a heavy dry brush of a dark gray. Step up to a lighter gray, a dolphin gray I guess, and then just a really light dry brush of white. So we'll just start with a big brush. As you can see, there's not a lot of detail. The dry brush is going to be one of the main things that picks that out for us. They should look pretty good. We'll probably get them up to the light gray and then do a darker wash once that's dry, and then come back and do a little bit more dry brushing after that. Okay, so we got the blue-gray on there. I went ahead and I threw a screw in the bottom just so I could hold on to it. While I'm doing the dry brushing, it's still a little wet in some spots, but we should be alright. A little bit of mixing. So we're going to start out with the dark gray, like I said. If I can get it open. I have to go a little wetter. My dry brushing never looks too great. I usually get a little impatient and just kind of go after it. As long as you're happy with your terrain, you can paint as fast as you want. Let's see, it's starting to pick out those details. It might be a little shiny. Let me turn off this one. Any better? Not really. It's still pretty shiny. Is that any better? You can kind of see the gray picking up. Once we get into a more contrasting color, it should pick out pretty good. And it's up to you, just go as far as you want with it. I want a fair bit of coverage with this dark gray, so I'm going to just keep going. We'll come back as soon as I get that to where I want it, and we'll start on the next color. Okay, so we've got that gray on there. I went fairly heavy with it, just keeping that blue-gray as more of a shadow. And I decided, instead of doing that lighter plain gray, we're going to go with more of a blue-gray that I mixed up. It was for an old Space Wolf army that I was going to build. And we'll just hit it light with this one, because it's going to be Frostgrave terrain, so I'd like to get more of that cold feel to it, but I don't know if we'll get it. And this one here should pick up quite a bit better. Oh yeah, that's a lot more contrast. And we'll go around. If we get a little heavy, I'm planning on doing a wash and getting some dirty into it, so shouldn't be too bad. Again, I'm rushing through so my layers aren't dry, so there is going to be a little bit of mix there, so you're going to get, you know, a little bit of blending that way. Alright, there's the start of it. We'll come back when that's done and we'll move on to the white. Okay, so we've got that blue-gray on there, and it looks pretty good. We're just going to go super light with the white and just see how that looks. Maybe a little heavier than I wanted, but anything too white, I guess it'll give it more of that snow look, so won't be too bad. I like to keep it simple, as long as it looks fairly decent on the table. I'm not too fussed with it being super great. And actually, I kind of like that. I don't even think I'm going to go for a wash on those. Just going to keep it like that. Well, we'll go through and I'll get the rest of them painted up, and we'll do some beauty pics with some miniatures and see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Glad of you that stuck around. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, even without maintaining the channel. So if you like the video, leave a like, comment. Love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.